This is Trend Following Radio, where great thinking comes alive. Nobel Prize winners, legendary traders, best-selling authors, and the pros that know what drive us irrational human beings. I am your host, Michael Covel. Not filtered, raw, honest. That's my passion. Back in Southeast Asia. Man, it still is a long way. But good news to report. Coming and going to the States. Finally, internet is everywhere. Nothing like pulling up a decent speed connection on Wi-Fi in the middle of the Pacific. Progress. Absolutely progress. On a slightly negative note, and I've probably beat this drum before, but if you're going to fly to Asia and you have any other choice beyond United Airlines, take it, or you're foolish. That's all I'm going to say. Today, 3 topic areas I want to jump into. 2 of them inspired by 2 written pieces, third-party written pieces, one by Seth Godin. But the 3 areas I want to touch on today, the first piece about the 2 Americas, the second piece about the crowd. Number 3, I want to touch on my experience with my Barry Ritholtz interview. Actually, Barry interviewed me for his Bloomberg radio show. And I will talk about that last. Recently, this great piece came across my desk. And it was attributed to the football coach Lou Holtz. I mindlessly retweeted it. Somebody corrected me and they said, no, that's not from Lou Holtz. Okay, it's not the end of the world. I got it wrong. The attribution was wrong. I didn't do the attribution. It was wrong. I went with it. Here we are. It's still a great piece. It's titled 2 Americas. But before you think, because you might not be American, before you think this is not for you or not related to you, don't think that way. It's absolutely for everyone, because there are 2 Americas, there are 2 of everything in every country. You will see where I'm going with that. In this piece, I'm taking out some of the political names. I don't see much reason for the names because the names change. The points, the main emphasis of this piece will never change. Well, I don't want to say never. That's a little too strong. I seriously doubt they're going to change anytime soon. Here goes. They are right. There are 2 Americas. The America that works and the America that doesn't. The America that contributes and the America that doesn't. It's not the haves and have-nots. It's the do's and the don'ts. Some people do their duty as Americans to obey the law and support themselves and contribute to society, and others don't. That's the divide in America. It's not about income inequality. It's about civic irresponsibility. It's about a political party that preaches hatred, greed, and victimization in order to win elective office. It's about a political party that loves power more than it loves its country. That's not invective, that's truth. And it's about time someone said it. I love an opening like that. I have that internal monologue daily with myself. Something's wrong. Too many people are lost. They don't get it. They're out swimming along in this sea of complaints. Everything's been done them wrong, and personal responsibility is absent. Continuing. The politics of envy was on proud display last week as he said he would pledge the rest of his term to fighting income inequality. He noted that some people make more than other people, that some people have higher incomes than others. And he says that's not just. It was the rationale of thievery. The other guy has it, you want it, and he will take it for you to give it to you. What's the old story about two wolves and a sheep sitting around at the campfire discussing what they're going to have for dinner? Democracy. Isn't it sweet? Hence, vote for this party. It is the electoral philosophy that gave us Detroit. It is the electoral philosophy that is destroying America. And it conceals a fundamental deviation from American values and common sense. It ends up not being a benefit to the people who support it, but a betrayal. This party has not empowered their followers, they have enslaved them in a culture of dependence and entitlement, of victimhood and anger, instead of ability and hope. Ability and hope. Ability. I don't even care about the hope. Ability. His premise that you reduce income inequality by debasing the successful seeks to ignore and cheat the law of choices and consequences. It seeks to deny the successful the consequences of their choices and spare the unsuccessful the consequences of their choices. Because by and large, the variability in society is a result of different choices leading to different consequences. Those who choose wisely and responsibly have a far greater likelihood of success, while those who choose foolishly and irresponsibly have a far greater likelihood of failure. Now, of course, if you're sitting out there right now and you're saying, Mike, what does this have to do with investing and trading? Well, it has everything in the world to do with it. Those who choose foolishly and irresponsibly have a far greater likelihood of failure. You know, the idiot that buys Netflix because he watches Netflix with his family and is sitting around his living room and going, honey, well, this is just great. We can watch movies on TV. Let's buy the stock. Let's bet the ranch. We can watch movies on TV. What a novel proposition. Movies on TV. Bet the ranch. There's such a big moat around that business, right? Continuing. And success and failure can manifest themselves in personal and family income. You choose to drop out of high school or to skip college, and you're apt to have a different outcome than someone who gets a diploma and pushes on with purposeful education. You have your children out of wedlock, and life is apt to take one course. You have them in wedlock, and life is apt to take another course. Now, of course, this is not everyone. There's a bell curve here, folks. But for the vast majority of people, those statements hold true. I would add, though, that formal education is becoming less and less the issue. The issue is, what do you do with the education that you receive? And where do you receive it? That's probably the most critical aspect today. Because so many families, so many people are completely confused on where to receive their education. They look to the tried and true. They imagine their kids going to the local state college that everyone talks about. You know the one. There's one in every state. It's the one that every kid in high school wants to get into. It's so exciting. The campus is fantastic. Never mind, there's not even one teacher there that anybody outside of this campus even knows about. All the kids want to go there. Because of course, after 4 years there, and you hold that degree up in an international world, everyone will know what it means. And the pearly gates will open for you. The red carpet will roll out. And you will be a success simply by showing up for 4 years at a local college and doing as much acid, coke, pot, and booze as you possibly could. Yeah, that's not exactly how it works. Continuing. Most often in life, our destination is determined by the course we take. My doctor, for example, makes far more than I do. Now, we're not talking about my doctor. This is the article that I'm reading, but he's talking about his doctor. My doctor, for example, makes far more than I do. There is significant income inequality between us. Our lives have had an inequality of outcome, but our lives also have had an inequality of effort. Whereas my doctor went to college and then gave the flower of his young adulthood to medical school and residency. And man, I'm telling you what, I didn't want to do that. My father did, but I didn't want to do that. He didn't do the residency, but he's a doctor, but I didn't want to do that. Continuing. I got the job in a restaurant. He made a choice. I made a choice. And our choices led us to different outcomes. I'm sure some people are sitting out there right now and they're just imagining a father figure, a daddy, sitting at a government office cube in Washington, D.C., probably at least 50% overweight, sharpening his pencils all day long, trying to determine how much of a pension he will get when no one else in the rest of the country receives a pension. And that person, that bureaucrat, that faceless bureaucrat working for the federal government is the father figure for so many people that don't want to control their outcome. Yeah, kind of frightening, huh? Because when you really pull back the curtain and you look at Washington, D.C., and I own property in the Washington, D.C. area, and it's primarily valued very highly because of so many government workers there making a fortune. 30, 40 years ago, you didn't talk about government employees making a fortune. Guess what? They're making really good money now. So in 6 of the top 10 wealthiest counties are in the Washington, D.C. area, Maryland, Northern Virginia, and Washington, D.C. That should raise red flags. Tangent over, I think you get my point. Back to the article. His outcome pays a lot better than mine. Does that mean he cheated? And that the political leader of the moment needs to take his wealth away? No. It means we are both free men. And in a free society, free choices will lead to different outcomes. It's not inequality that XYZ political leader, and I don't care the country, will take away. It is freedom that he will take away. The freedom to succeed and the freedom to fail. And there is no true option for success if there's no true option for failure. I should add at this moment in time, I thought everyone got out at the top of a massive trend. I thought everyone gets out at the S&P level 2000. Everyone runs up the trend. You get to the top and everyone sells at the top and everyone makes a fortune. There are no losers. I don't think too many people think about that. Continuing. The pursuit of happiness means a whole lot less when you face the punitive hand of government if your pursuit brings you more happiness than the other guy. Even if the other guy sat on his ass and did nothing. Even if the other guy made a lifetime's worth of asinine and short-sighted decisions. One group will preach equality of outcome as a right while completely ignoring inequality of effort. The simple law of the harvest. The harder you work, the more you get. And let's face it, many political leaders would turn that upside down. Those who achieve are to be punished as enemies of society, and those who fail are to be rewarded as wards of society. Entitlement has replaced effort as the key to upward mobility in American society. Or at least if some political leaders get their way. These leaders seek a lowest common denominator society in which the government besieges the successful and the productive and fosters equality through mediocrity. They speak of 2 Americas, and their grip on power is based on using the votes of one to sap the productivity of the other. America is not divided by the differences in our outcomes. It is divided by the differences in our efforts and by the false philosophy that says one man's success comes unavoidably as the result of another man's victimization. What some offer is not a solution, but separatism. They have fomented division and strife, pitted one set of Americans against another, all for their own political benefit. That's what progressives offer. It's class warfare wrapped up with a bow. Now, that piece is not going to help you invest better directly or trade better directly. But guess what? If you want to be an achiever, that's how the achievers think. The achievers don't want a handout. The achievers don't want a pat on the head. They don't want a fake leg up on life. And it is fake because I can tell you right now, there is absolutely no way the government can help you other than giving you money. And whether it's professional athletes that blow through their millions of dollars shortly after their career is over, or the lottery winners that can lose millions upon millions after they blow through all their winnings. Free money doesn't work. You must be in the game. There must be grist. There must be drive. There must be purposeful effort to a passionate end. Yes, some people can take a little help and turn it into gold. But most people have to want it. They have to really desire deeply. If that's not there, the result is clear. That opening salvo leads me into my second part of this episode, inspired by a piece from the author Seth Godin. The crowd, your work, and a choice. Now, of course, I just laid out quite clearly that the crowd, a significant part of the population, wants something for nothing. They don't even realize how detrimental it is. But let me describe that crowd more clearly. The crowd prefers sweets. You know, that easy stuff. Make it really taste good, very fast. Soluble sugar. Give it to me right now. The crowd gets on its feet when your band plays the big hit and sits down for the new songs. The crowd will pay far more for a steak dinner than a vegetable one, regardless of cost or effort or value. The crowd will always pick the movie over the book. The crowd would rather wait in line for the popular attraction. The crowd likes to be chased. The crowd also likes explosions, resolved plots, and ample lighting. The crowd would prefer a digest. And let me interrupt for one moment. It's amazing how many people to this day will send me emails and they say, Mike, I want to learn about trend following. What do I do? Now, honestly, I want to say, are you fucking stupid? Really, are you fucking stupid? There's multiple books out there. Mine, Alex Gracerman's. There's a lot of work out there about the subject of trend following. So when somebody shows up to my door, and I'm not trying to be a grouch, but seriously, if you show up to my door with a one sentence of, what do I do? Have you bothered to investigate anything? Or are you just lazy? Or do you just want a hug? Are you writing me because you just want a hug? I don't do very well with hugs. Why should I give you a hug? You're a complete stranger. I give a hug to somebody that I have a relationship with. So do something to start a relationship. Don't just be quick and easy like that. Come on. I'll help anybody. Hell, I've responded to hundreds of thousands of emails over the last 15 years. But if you send me a silly email, you're going to get a silly answer. I mean, I might give you a link that tells you to go somewhere. I might tell you to read a book, but come on, lift a finger, do something. Back to Seth Godin's piece. The crowd's favorite words include fast, easy, cheap, fun, now, and simple. That kind of reminds me of the current stock market. Fast, easy, cheap, fun, now, and simple. Because at the height of an all-time high, there's been some retracing, but at the height of an all-time high, you could have nothing other than fast, easy, cheap, fun, now, and simple. And when I say cheap, I don't mean cheap in the sense of that the price is cheap, but cheap that what the hell did you have to do to get there? If your only way of investing is to buy and hold and trust that one index will go up, and if it is at an all-time high, that's a cheap effort by you. And lastly, the crowd needs a deadline. Boy, does the crowd need a deadline. The crowd demands that you tell them exactly how much money they will make in exactly what markets. And this false narrative that so many people fall sucker to. There is no deadline. When it comes to investing, when it comes to trading, there is no deadline. There are trends. They come and they go. And they're always coming and going. And maybe one day we'll have nuclear Armageddon and there will be no more trends. But for right now, and dating back a hell of a long time, trends go, trends come. There's no deadline. Now, on the other hand, if you want to look at the deadline as a stop loss, which the crowd doesn't do, well, damn straight, make your deadline a stop loss. But that's a whole different ballgame. I love that inspirational write-up from Seth Godin. Yeah, I changed it a little bit and added some touches, but I find that Seth Godin's blog offers more plain, practical wisdom about investing, about trading, even though he clearly is not intending that. And last today, I'd like to offer some thoughts about a recent interview. I was in New York City in December. Barry Ritholtz interviewed me for his show on Bloomberg, his podcast show. A really fun time. The episode is out. It's about, I think, an hour and 48 minutes, an hour and 45 minutes. One of the longest interviews that I have ever done. Wide-ranging. We cover a lot of territory. I'm most appreciative of the fact that Barry went so wide. So many people don't want to take a chance. And that got me thinking about Barry and many other people like Barry, like myself. I'm not being cocky or arrogant or anything, but I am a one-man media. Barry is a one-man media. Many other people are. It's not about the Netflix that I was making fun of earlier, or the Twitter, or the Facebook. Those are just distribution outlets. They carry you along. And as a piece of media, and again, I'm calling myself media. I'm content. Maybe we'll see 2016 as the moment where everyone realizes that it's no longer about big companies. That if you're at a big company, great, fantastic. I'm not going to pick on you too much. But if you're at a big company, unless you're one of the absolute most key people, Jonathan Ive at Apple, let's face it, the rest of you are just shuffling paper. You're not important and you could be replaced. But when you're content, when you're media, you, the individual, you are the brand. You can't be replaced. Because if your brand is built in such a way, and I will use Barry Ritholtz as a great example. Barry distributes in many different ways. He distributes himself in many different ways. He distributes via his blog. He distributes via the Washington Post. He distributes via Bloomberg. But if Bloomberg went away or the Washington Post went away, Barry would still be there making content. Barry would still have followers. He's built up the trust one step at a time for well over 15 years. People want to hear what he has to say next. They want to tune in. These distribution outlets, Twitter, Facebook, Netflix, whatever, they're going to come and go. And those are the big storylines. Everyone wants to talk about Twitter. You know, Twitter is at all-time lows and all that kind of stuff. I use Twitter. Who cares? It's just distribution. Now, I start with the example of Barry Ritholtz, someone who has been doing this for 15 years quite successfully. I'm sure a ton of people sit out there and they're hateful, they're jealous, they're envious of his success. They wish they had the platform. What they don't think about is how did he build it? Let me give an example of building. Something that I have observed. One of the people in my world, and I've talked fondly about him many times, is a guy named Jerry Parker. He was one of the turtle traders. Jerry, too, by a significant part of the population, perhaps, could be hated on for his success. He's made millions of dollars. He's had great opportunity. He's taken advantage of that opportunity. He's worked hard. But Jerry's not that well known. Jerry doesn't have a big platform. You can have all the money in the world, but that doesn't equal platform. That doesn't equal brand. That doesn't equal media. That doesn't equal the one-man content that I'm talking about. And of course, I'm going in this direction to inspire other would-be entrepreneurs to not waste their time looking for the perfect school and the perfect job, because it's all bullshit and you're going to die. So you might as well take the chance and go do your own damn thing. Back to Jerry Parker. As I mentioned, Jerry's quite successful. All the money in the world in the bank. But you can't buy a brand. You got to build it step by step by step. I've observed how Jerry has gone about as a second act in life. Maybe just he views it as a side project. But Jerry has built a very loyal and growing Twitter following. He's not built it with money. He's built it by providing very good content and engaging with people. I've not really talked about this with him too much. Maybe we've touched on it in our podcast episodes, but he clearly is passionate as hell about every day contributing value that he doesn't get paid for. It's the same thing that Barry Ritholtz would have done when he started out. It's the same thing that I would have done. That you're just step by step engaging with people, giving value, giving more value than you get, and just having fun with it. That's the secret to brand building the one-man media conglomerate today in 2016. Exactly how Jerry Parker is building his Twitter following. There's another guy in my world, not very well known, at least in the major circles, Steve Burns. Self-published author, has built a huge Twitter following, gives away advice and insights to new traders. The only way that has worked for Steve is every day providing something of value that new traders, perhaps even experienced traders, whoever has found this guy, Steve Burns, and has come to understand that he will give them something interesting. Whether Barry Ritholtz or Jerry Parker or Steve Burns, and I like to think of myself in this same camp, there is only one way to go in 2016. If you really want to get ahead, well, I guess you can get ahead in other ways, right? You can spend 2 hours each way commuting somewhere, taking the train, car, whatever. But it's not just about getting ahead with money in the bank. Quality of life. There are no shortcuts for this one-man band entrepreneurial vision that I want to push. And look, I know it's not sexy compared to what you hear from Silicon Valley, because Silicon Valley is all about the cool new name that arbitrages away some bricks and mortar business, and it's been going on for 15 years, and this is what everyone finds exciting. But I would argue, for most people, that stuff is out of reach. That stuff is a pipe dream. It's like playing Powerball. But you can depend on yourself, and you can build every day. So please, waste your time chasing the degrees and the certificates. Constantly ask for permission. Seek approval. And make sure you kiss everyone's ass along the way. Now, while you're doing that, myself and a whole army of associates, we will be kicking ass, taking no prisoners, and surveying the battlefield afterwards. Because at the end of the day, this has got to be fun. And perhaps that's the crowning jewel on this episode. You. You are it. If you're wasting your time with any other dream, whether it's a company's dream, a family member's dream, a friend's dream, I just have to ask, why? Why are you doing that? I see a time when those awake will understand how to make money in up, down, and surprise markets. Whether new trader or experienced, college student or financial advisor, protecting against a crash or just trying to make a lot of money, trend following offers everyone an answer in uncertain times. To get started immediately, send me an email, michael@covel.com. I will send you the right trend following steps to take along with my free video. But if you want to buy and hold, trust the government and trust Wall Street, this is absolutely not for you.